Today is Wednesday, June the 19th, and thank you all for putting up with the audio quality for the last 2 days. Something deteriorated in my laptop, so now I've bought a new microphone, so thank you for letting me know. Anyways, so taking a look at FinViz, we see that the volume on the Dow, today was a big day. Today was the day that the Fed made an announcement that they were not going to raise rates, but they did take the word patience out of their statement. So that means that the market thinks now that they've got what they want, and July is going to give them the free money that they want. So we've got a little bit lower volume in the Dow, reasonable volume in the NASDAQ, reasonable volume in the S&P 500. But we saw that right after the Fed made their announcement at 2 p.m., bang, pop, pop, pop. Pretty much everything finished in the green. Facebook continues to not get any love because of their cryptocurrency. The financials didn't do well naturally because the Fed did not raise the interest rate, so that's not in favor of financials. Healthcare did very well, basic materials, services. Utilities also did well, which we're going to see later is reflected in the GDX, the gold miners that we follow. And the advancers to decliners were a ratio of 2 to 1, which means that the oscillator this time is probably going to hit the overbought mark. It's just enough to push us up, probably up here. What do we need? We need a change of 478. So we're probably going to hit that with a 2 to 1 ratio, and we're going to move up to this line, and we're going to hit the overbought. So the S&P 500, what's really interesting here, no surprise to anyone, is that we are reaching a previous high. And if we look back, we see that that is a double top from an all-time high. We've never been this high before. Hit it once back here in October, hit it again in April, and I think it's pretty safe to say that we're going to hit that volume and we're going to pull back. And why? Because we've got this flat cloud on the Ichimoku, which tends to want to attract. Let's look at the 1 week. And there's that flat cloud down here. So we're going to hit that, and we're going to have that magnetic drawing back down to here and looking for support on the cloud. So it doesn't mean we're going to draw back a lot, but it probably means that we're not going to break through this double top, and that is going to be a negative sign. So am I selling anything? No. Am I covering anything? No. But I'm waiting to see what happens when we hit this 29.50 mark. Now Apple at 198. What was interesting today, if you look at the 15-minute, is that we popped with the Fed announcement. Quite a bit actually. And then the sellers came in. And this is what happens with Fed announcements. You get the Fed, who's the market who's looking for a certain outcome in the Fed, and it builds up for a few days beforehand, anticipating and building into the price of the S&P what they think that is going to be the outcome of the Fed announcement. And then when that comes, then the greed steps in and people start to sell. But it should be favorable going forward. Now Apple at 198.36. I remember I said yesterday that I had sold 500 shares of my 800. I bought them back today for a little bit less than I sold them for, but same thing with Caterpillar. I had sold 400 shares of my 800, and I bought them back for a little bit more than what I sold them for, so I ended up basically even on both of those trades, but I'm now back to full positions for Apple and Caterpillar, and you can see that Caterpillar is getting resistance on the cloud, but what is the Chiku span doing? The Chiku span is just above the 50. So this is the week. So by the end of the week, we should come up and test the cloud again on a daily. We should come up to the 200 and the cloud on the daily, which is 133.17. Now, what is that on the weekly? 133.17 is actually right about the 200 SMA. So that's where we're heading to for Caterpillar. So it's nice to be long for Caterpillar. Gold miners has been a great play for us. And I can't say that I told you to buy into it, but I told you that I had the stock and was confident about it and was holding on to it at a loss. And now we've got the Chiku span that's broken out of the cloud. Big pop for this week. Let's just look at the day. This was a big move for the day, not a total engulfing candle of the previous day, but a big pop forward. And the dollar did take a bit of a hit today because interest rates did not go up. The Fed did not signal an increase in interest rates, so the dollar took a bit of a hit. The other one is WDC. This is our China semiconductors play. And we've had now 3 very nice days in a row. And Whirlpool is just a fantastic stock, which we started purchasing back on June the 4th or 5th at about 125. We did not buy it when it hit this trend line. I didn't buy it. Should have, yes, should have. Was not convinced that it was the right time. Shame on me, but I did start buying covered calls and kept laddering those covered calls. And where are we now? We're back to this point here where we said after 1, 2, 3, 4 tries, if we could break through, we would start buying Whirlpool back in April, but it didn't. It dropped, so we didn't buy, but we did finally buy around 124, and being conservative with covered calls at 126, 130, 132.50, 135, and now 140. As I said yesterday, it's made about 7.2% profit since June the 4th, so that's, annualized on a yearly basis. That's pretty damn good. $2,700 profit on 300 shares of covered calls, which, covered calls are pretty much a conservative play. So we look at the Chiku span above the 200, still lots of room to run, but it's going to be the cloud that stops us on the 1 week, which for this week, I don't think we have to worry about 144. But next week, it's going to be 143.65, and that is most likely where we're going. We look at the daily, and we had at the top, we had this very narrow open and close and a lot of range, but we ended up above yesterday. The Chiku span is not telling us anything that we didn't already know. Now, you could say that there's a problem here in the future with this flat cloud for WHR going forward, so we have to keep our eye on that. But on the 1 week, you don't see that. You see the possibility for the next few weeks of riding up to 143 and a little bit higher. And if we're going to have a pullback, it's going to be not in the next few weeks, it's going to be further out than that. Our last one is WDC. And we've had some nice movement in WDC. Any China news is going to be good for it. So thank you very much. And I'm really sorry for the sound. And I'm going to check to make sure that it's good before I post it. Thank you.